Okay, this is my champagne beer. It's been about 3 weeks, I think, and I cannot get this below 1010. I did hear about something called vino. Vino. It is a dietary supplement, I think, or helps something with gas or something, but it has an enzyme in it that can break down the longer sugar chains that the yeast kind of crapped out on here. So what the idea is, I put some vino in here, and it will rip down. Hopefully below 1010 and activate the yeast that are kind of went dormant there. Hopefully it works. I know that big breweries will add that similar enzyme to their fuzzy yellow beer to get it down to 64 calorie type stuff or dry it way out. I'm gonna add maybe I think 1 tablet at first and just see what it does. And if nothing really happens, I might try to add another tablet or two in the next couple days. I'm first going to crush up a tablet and and then gently stir everything up into suspension, and hopefully it can reactivate the yeast and get this thing down. I want this thing dry. There definitely can be a concern here with wild yeast, but this is like an 8-9% beer already, so I'm not worried about wild yeast at this point. I don't think anything can survive in here. So there's a English yeast strain in this, and some other yeast that I used. I think I used USO5 initially. So we'll see if there's enough cells left for them to do anything. I don't know how much it's going to work in secondary fermentation. I think you can do it maybe during primary or maybe in the mash. But yeah, we'll find out, won't we? I'm in the middle of a brew day right now. However, I just took a gravity reading of my champagne beer, and it's reading at 1006. That vino worked, and it dropped down, and I cannot believe it. I thought for sure that vino wouldn't work. It broke up those long sugar chains, and it has this little re-fermentation. I kept it at 80 degrees Fahrenheit in that range, maybe a little hotter, and I think that's as low as it's going to get. I'm not going to touch it right now because I'm brewing, but I think in the next day or two I'm going to bottle this and add Muscadet to it and call it a day. It's time to add the Muscadet. What I've read online is a full bottle for 5 gallons does pretty well for wine, but I have less than half a gallon here, so I'm going to do 125 milliliters of wine. Muscadets are very dry, nice crisp, sort of clean flavors to it. It's a French wine. The grape is Melon de Bourgogne, and it's very, very refreshing, very crisp, very light. Great white drinkable wine. So there we have it. 125 milliliters. I'm going to do a quick taste test on this. I'm going to leave it. I think the amount of Muscadet I put in there is going to be fine. I don't want to overpower it. I just want to enhance it a little bit. So the next step now is to make a starter for this. So what I heard on the Sour Hour, on the Brewing Network, there's an episode they had on, and it was something to do with, it's called bottle conditioning with acid shock. So essentially, you're bottle conditioning with sour beer that has a pH below 3 or at 3, right around there, and especially with high alcohol, it has a really, really hard time. I tried to bottle condition a barley wine once that was around 14%, and I had a really hard time doing it. This is around 14%, and there's almost no sugar left in this. It's going to be very hard to bottle condition. On that podcast, they talked about a way to do this, and you basically make a starter, and you have fresh worts, and then you add your beer that's fermented, whether it's sour beer or high alcohol beer, or any beer for that matter, and you do it a 1-to-1 ratio. And then you add yeast to that. That yeast you add to it basically creates your bottle conditioning cauldron, as he called it, and you make your normal priming sugar solution, and then you add that cauldron or that solution that you made before of yeast and of portion of this in fresh wort into your priming sugar, and you bottle with everything. And he said he and the guy on that, I'm blanking on his name at the moment, Dr. Matt something, he's a doctor on there. He ended up doing 5 milliliters per bottle. I figure I'm going to get about 6 bottles out of this. So what I'm going to do is 30 milliliters. And I'm going to do 15 milliliters of this with the wine in it, that's already in it, and then 50 milliliters of fresh wort, and add a little bit of yeast. And the yeast I'm going to use is the yeast I have today that I'm brewing with, which is a Bière de Garde. And the yeast I have for it is the English 011. I have extra of that. I might as well. I think any yeast can work. I think it's better to have a little champagne yeast and a little bit of, maybe a higher alcohol yeast. But I'm going to go for it with this, make a starter for about 2 days, then do my priming sugar on like day 3, and then bottle with that priming sugar with that starter I made, and hopefully this carbonates. I have a 1-1 ratio here, and it's my little wort starter. This does not seem like a lot, does it? I do not know if this is the right thing to do. I hope it's enough. I was only going off of what I was told on that podcast. I will link that guy's article below, and in my description, if someone wants to navigate through that, it is way over my head, but it's extremely advanced biochemistry stuff. That is, it's just a bunch of gibberish to me. But there is a lot of explanation on what they do there. That they do have photos on what they do, on how to do this. So I'm mostly going off what the podcast said. And yeah, put about whatever that amount is into there. And hopefully get some fermentation out of this. And use this to bottle condition with. So here's hoping. Moment of truth. I don't know if this is carbonated or not. Here's hoping. I think it's not gonna be. That's my guess. Oh, it might be carbonated. It might be carbonated. It made a pop sound. It worked! Oh, yeah. Not only is it carbonated, it's well carbonated. Let me get proper glassware. That's more like it. The lighting's pretty bad. Apologies. It's not much better. It's bright as fuck though. Much better. I will link the recipe below in the description so you can follow along. I have the brew day video I'll link as well. And then, yeah, so you can see all the processes and all that stuff. So it's obviously darker than it should be. That's the first ding I give it. And it's only 2 row, so it's odd. And the wine I added was light. I don't know if just boiling probably obviously did it. I boiled for 70 minutes. Maybe what I could do is, I don't boil for 30, but then I wouldn't get the gravity I wanted, the starting gravity. Or I could boil for 30 and just add a ton of corn sugar and DME instead. I could consider doing extract and just bumping up the gravity with extract to get it to the 1092 or 1090 I was going for. The good thing is I did drop it down to 1.006. That's awesome. So it did drop down dry. The ABV is probably in the 14% range. I haven't done the math on what that is. I'll do it after the video, and I'll show below what the ABV is. I added about 0.2 ounces of Celia hops, and that was an IBU of about 14. It's trying to get a little bit of the earthiness that some champagnes can have. I mean, some really good old champagnes actually taste like toast. Like it's like a beautiful bready toast. Not burnt toast, but like, I sound schmarmy, never mind. It smells sweet. It definitely does not smell like champagne, that's for sure. It's not bad. It's definitely more on the barley wine side of things, and that's obviously the risk I would take trying to do this. Just trying to dry this way out. I will say it is very dry. It's like a really good dry barley wine. I'm not getting much of that Muscadet in there. I almost added more when I added it, but I could use a little more, I think, if I want to get some of the actual wine characteristic out of it. But it's sweet, but it's not like cloying. It's not like, like it hurts to drink. But it definitely is sweeter than I wanted it. It tastes nothing like champagne. Doesn't look like champagne. But I did get some good things out of it. I got the ABV down below 1010 using vino, and I was able to carbonate a really high alcohol beer. So that is great. So 2 things I learned out of this. So I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna make some tweaks. Like I said, I might do extract instead. I might consider doing a little more wine probably for this, a little more white wine for this. But I think like a no boil would be ideal. I don't know how to do that though, because it's just gonna get a little darker. I'm going to save a couple of these bottles for a while because I think this will age well like a barley wine. So it'll be fine in like a year, I think. It's a little young if I want to now just dress it as a barley wine. I bet in the holidays this would be really, really great, especially with some dessert. So yeah, until next time, stay tuned. Oh, and feel free to subscribe. It's free. You just click the little button below, and then boom, you're subscribed. I'm posting every 3 days right now, so that's worth subscribing for, right?